Transformative moment, single dad discovers pregnant girl at gas station is a hidden millionaire.
Mike leaned against his battered pickup, the rain drumming angrily against the metal. After a long day of exhausting double shifts, he treated himself to a moment, inhaling the scent of gasoline mingling with the damp air. The routine of filling his tank had become almost sacrosanct amidst the swirling chaos of bills and bedtime stories. His son Jake was waiting at home, innocently unaware of the weight of responsibility resting on his father's shoulders. More often than not, Mike felt his dreams fade like distant echoes, muffled by the noisy realities of parenthood. His breath hitched when a young woman caught his eye, standing near the pump, her hands cradling her noticeable belly. Emma's worried face echoed the anxiety that churned in his own stomach. They exchanged glances, and he felt an instinctive pull to act.
Walking over, he brushed off the droplets clinging to his hair. "Hey, do you need help?" Emma's response came in a shaky voice, I don't know what to do." She was lost amid the rain and uncertainty. Mike could almost see reflections of his own struggles as he listened to her talk, revelations spilling out like rainwater. They shared laughs over their mutual love for classic cars, but Mike's stories were laced with heartache, each one puncturing the walls he built to protect himself. The rain cloaked them, isolating their conversation from the chaos of the world. But as Mike poured out his heart, sharing how he abandoned his lifelong dream to care for Jake, he sensed something deeper in Emma. He saw her as a lifeline, even as she confessed her own burdens, the layers of pressure she concealed beneath her seemingly delicate frame. Just as he felt he was beginning to grasp some semblance of a genuine connection, Emma blurted out her secret. I'm actually an heiress. I'm here to understand life without privilege." The words struck Mike like thunder, inciting confusion and disbelief. How could someone like him connect with someone from such a world? As if reading his thoughts, Emma's brows knotted, mirroring his turmoil. A whirlwind of emotions created disharmony in his mind, a mixture of fascination and trepidation that battled for dominance. Mike hesitated, feeling the weight of two worlds crashing against one another. He had spent years prioritizing Jake's needs over his own, guarding his heart with steel walls forged through time. But Emma represented something different, something he dared not let himself crave. What did it mean to open up to someone free of the burdens that tethered him to the grueling cycle of survival? But just as their moment began to bloom, Mike felt his phone buzz violently against his hip. He reached for it with dread. Jake's school. The late-night knot of anxiety twisted tighter in his stomach. The call severed what had felt like a fragile thread of hope. Loud breathing consumed him as he absorbed the news. The realization that he had to choose between this burgeoning connection and the unconditional love for his son loomed over him, heavy and dark. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Chaos thrashed around his heart as he looked up at Emma. Torn, he felt desperation clawing at his chest. Two entirely different lives were reaching for him, colliding with messy urgency, begging for resolution, but there was none to be had. Should he fight for what felt transformative or retreat to the comfort of familiarity? The storm inside him intensified, trapped between worlds that would never align. Mike's pulse quickened as he ended the call, the sound of Emma's breath shifting from curiosity to concern. He looked into her eyes, searching for a calm, but only found fear mirrored back. The storm of emotions now heightened into sheer panic. How could he ever provide for Jake, be present for his son, and entertain the possibility of something beyond survival? The weight of the decision dangled like a cloud ready to burst. He needed to focus, his son's well-being came first. Yet, Emma's presence had opened a door within him that he thought long bolted shut. Every day of the past few years had molded him into someone who prioritized obligation over desire. But standing here amidst the rain, listening to the echoes of their laughter, he felt a flicker of longing for the father he wanted to be, not just the one defined by sacrifice. Jake's at the school. He got in trouble, he finally managed, his voice heavy with the realization. I have to go. Emma's brows knitted in understanding, but her eyes remained luminous, a strange contrast to the tumult of his thoughts. But Mike, can't we explore this? Us? The word hung in the air. The reckless hope infiltrated his defenses, sparking both anger and desire. It was infectious and terrifying. You don't understand my life. It's chaotic, filled with struggles. Exactly. Emma asserted, her hands reaching out, encapsulating the urgency. My life has its burdens too, but they're different. I want something genuine just like you. Genuine? He scoffed, anger bubbling up. I barely provide for my kid. How can I give you genuine when I'm stuck in a loop of mediocrity? Sudden silence enveloped them, the rain thickening, as if the universe lingered, waiting for his response. The truth was inescapable, he feared he was not enough. How could he step beyond perpetuating this cycle? In that moment, he envisioned a future where he could reclaim dreams abandoned in the cloud of responsibility. But the nagging voice, the haunting echo of his upbringing, warned him. The moment he thought he had an opportunity, the harsh reality of his duties intruded. He turned away, taking a few tentative steps back towards his truck. Yet before he could retreat fully, Emma's voice sliced through his disquiet. Mike, if you keep running, you'll never know what you're capable of. Her words echoed repeatedly in his mind as he stood frozen in the rain. Could he really turn to confront the future he secretly desired? In a world that often seemed predetermined by his past decisions and relentless responsibilities, could he seize this moment of vulnerability and allow it to evolve into something powerful? The wind whipped around him, teasing thoughts of rebellion against his overwhelming sense of duty. If he dared to explore this nascent connection with Emma, could it lead to a place where he could be more than just a single father scraping by? The thought ignited dormant ambitions, even if they flickered like a fading bulb. As he weighed his options, he felt another wave of tremors shudder through his body. He could either retreat into the familiar embrace of self-doubt or brave the uncertain waters ahead. Perhaps the true transformation began not in Emma's presence, but in his acceptance of the chance to pursue a life that he dreamed of, a life that could coexist with fatherhood. Emma, he began, his voice faltering, the weight of potential actions blurring clarity, but before he could gather his thoughts, his phone buzzed violently again. The school, demanding his immediate attention. The urgency of the situation sliced through the mirage of possibility, and he felt himself snap back to his responsibilities with excruciating clarity. Please, just give me some time, Emma implored, her gaze pleading. Mike swallowed hard, feeling the walls he built around him clashing with the soft warmth of hope. I can't promise anything, he stammered. But something inside him changed. He could see that Emma wasn't merely an escape, she represented a chance to forge a new path. As he turned away, the rain poured harder, a pathway to his future. Obscured, but he could feel the flickerings of change stirring within him. One thought lingered as he drove away, his heart aching. What if confronting his fears became his greatest achievement? The moment of clarity loomed in the distance, but would he grasp it before it disappeared into the fog of uncertainty? Would he find the courage to reinvent himself, or find himself trapped once again, limited by his own doubt? Mike's mind raced as he drove toward the school, the rhythmic thud of rain against the windshield echoing the chaotic tempest brewing within. He had barely processed Emma's words when the demands of responsibility slapped him back to the present. He needed to be there for Jake, but the gravity of that moment lingered, clinging to his thoughts as he navigated the streets. Dropping Jake off at school had always been routine. But today felt different, charged with the weight of all that had transpired with Emma. He parked and rushed through the rain, each step feeling heavier as if the universe conspired against him. As he entered the school, the hallways buzzed with the familiar noise of children, but it felt foreign to him now. Jake's trouble was his fault. He should have been more present, should have listened more. His heart sank as he approached the office. The secretary looked up, her face grim, and without saying a word, she gestured toward the door at the end of the hall. Time felt stretched as he walked, remembering the innocence of Jake's laughter and the brightness in his eyes that had slowly dimmed over the last year or so. Was he losing his son to an endless cycle of disappointment and neglect? Inside the office, he found Jake sitting on a chair, arms crossed tightly, his expression a mixture of defiant anger and hurt. Mike felt that familiar wave of guilt surfacing. What happened? He asked gently, though he could already guess.
He didn't do his homework for the third time, and I'm just tired of him not trying, the teacher explained, her voice tempered with authority.
He needs to take responsibility. I know, Mike replied, but the words felt inadequate.
They had been locked in this battle over Jake's homework far too often, each time a nagging reminder of where he faltered as a father. Jake's eyes shot to him, filled with a mixture of resentment and vulnerability.
You just don't get it.
He spat, voice trembling. You don't care about me or anything except work.
The accusation cut like glass. Mike's heart dropped.
The truth was staring him in the face. He had been so consumed with surviving and wrestling with his own demons that he had lost sight of what it meant to truly be a father.
You're right, buddy. I need to do better. I've been distracted.
They exchanged tense silence, and Mike took a breath, trying to project confidence.
But that's going to change. I'm going to do everything I can to make this right. You, me, we've got to work together on this. How about we set a schedule tonight to go over your homework? Jake's expression softened slightly, and Mike seized the moment. And we can even catch that game we've been wanting to watch together. I promise I'm here for you.
For the first time that day, a flicker of hope ignited within him. He could see the light in Jake's eyes returning, a glimpse of the connection that hadn't vanished entirely. Maybe an open dialogue was what they both needed, an exchange that reached beyond duties or expectations. As they left the office, the rain had given way to perhaps the faintest glimmers of sun breaking through the clouds. In that illumination, he felt the stirrings of change not merely between him and Jake, but within himself. Mike realized it was time to confront fears not just of losing his son, but of confronting the deep-rooted insecurities that tethered him. He needed to take that leap, to perhaps even explore the dynamics he had started with Emma. She was not just a distraction, she illuminated a path he had long since neglected. But how could he reconcile this new ambition with the responsibilities that pulsed at the core of his existence? His phone buzzed again, but this time, it was Emma's name flashing on the screen.
He hesitated. Could he return to that moment of vulnerability?
Could he make room in his life for something more than the confines of obligation? With his mind swirling with possibilities, he answered, a quiet determination settling around him.
Hey, it's me. I need to talk.
What began as a routine day now felt like a pivotal moment, one where he dared to
question everything he thought he knew about himself. Would he rise to the challenge of opening his heart?
Or would he cling to the fears of what that may mean? As he listened to Emma's voice, thrilling and apprehensive, he understood this was just the beginning. He was standing on the precipice of something transformative. But the deeper question loomed large: would he take that leap, or would he find himself retreating back to the safety of his doubts?
Mike clenched the steering wheel, his heart racing in sync with his mind's chaotic thoughts.
The conversation with Emma over the phone had ignited a flicker of hope, but it also left him grappling with uncertainty. As he maneuvered through the traffic, he reluctantly acknowledged that the vulnerability he had once feared might be essential for reclaiming his relationship with both Jake and himself. The sun pierced through the clouds, unexpectedly illuminating the dashboard and casting a warm glow about him. This semblance of brightness felt symbolically significant, as if the universe was nudging him forward. He realized he couldn't keep putting off the personal growth he so desperately needed. Today marked a crossroads. He had taken the first step towards reconciling with Jake, but now he had to gather the courage to confront Emma. Her presence had stirred something deep within him, a longing for connection that he hadn't recognized in years. Pulling into the gas station, he took a deep breath, attempting to ground himself. The familiar hum of the pump and the rhythmic sound of his heart were the only things breaking the blissful silence of the moment. He noticed a young woman nearby, anxiously tapping her foot as she glanced at her phone. Oddly, her demeanor resonated with him, a visual echo of his own worries, though he couldn't quite put his finger on why. He paid for the gas and decided to head inside for a coffee. A badly worn sign promising fresh coffee barely hung above the counter. The mundane surroundings began to settle his nerves, and he filled a cup, allowing the warmth to spread through his hands. Just as he took a sip, the door opened violently, and the young woman rushed inside, her eyes wide and frantic.
"Can you help me? I need a ride,"
she blurted, panic rising in her voice as she looked desperately around the small convenience store. The attendant gave her a sideways glance but continued scrolling on his phone, clearly uninterested. Mike's heart raced not from fear but from an odd kinship he felt towards her plight.
"What happened?" he asked, intrigued. It's complicated," she stammered, wiping sweat from her brow.
"I was on my way to a meeting, but my car broke down.
I can't afford a tow, and I have an appointment I can't miss.
I can't explain it all right now, but my future depends on this." He glanced outside, the light outside dimming as the clouds returned, the moment suddenly pulsating with urgency. He wanted to believe he could help her in some way. He had figured out the importance of being present for his son. Couldn't he extend that principle to someone else in need? Taking a decisive step forward, he said, "Okay, I'll help.
Just tell me where you need to go." Relief washed over her face. "Thank you. I promise I'll explain everything, but I need to hurry."
As they hurried back to his vehicle, Mike's thoughts raced.
Was he merely acting on impulse? Or was this a part of the transformation he had begun?
Helping Jake had opened a door to empathy that he hadn't realized had been sealed shut. Now, this chance encounter with a stranger would further compel him to examine the latent desires just beneath the surface of his day-to-day life. As he started the car, he stole a quick glance at her, noting an unusual intensity in her gaze. This wasn't just a ride for her, it was an escape.
An adventure.
And the feeling washed over Mike that perhaps, just maybe, he could be more than what he had allowed his life to confine him to.
"Where to?"
he asked, curious and eager to unravel her story.
"Just drive a few miles north and I'll guide you."
"I can't believe you're helping me." In that moment, Mike felt the swell of possibility surrounding them. He was on the brink of another journey, one that might redefine him further. But as the tension hummed like an electric current, Mike couldn't shake the sense that the crossroads ahead would lead him not just into the unknown, but also toward profound personal revelations about himself, about fatherhood, and about the connections he had nearly lost. What awaited him at that destination was a question he couldn't fully comprehend, but it was clear that he was finally moving forward.
Yet, an unsettling feeling lingered. Beneath the surface of this encounter, there were secrets waiting to emerge. Would uncovering them bring clarity, or lead to the unraveling of everything he had so carefully begun to rebuild?
As Mike drove, he stole glances at the young woman beside him. There was a part of him that wondered what had led her to this moment, and he found himself eager to listen. She was clearly on the verge of breaking down, and even though he was engulfed in his own issues, he felt a surprising weight of responsibility to support her. "I'm Lisa," she finally said, as she stared out the window.
"I'll explain once we hit the road."
"Mike," he replied, gripping the wheel a little tighter. He had heard the sharpness of her breath. It spoke volumes more than her words ever could. The rain started to drizzle as he made his way north, and with each passing mile, the tension between them thickened. Lisa shifted nervously in her seat, and Mike's instincts kicked in, prompting him to probe gently.
"What's this meeting about? If you don't mind me asking."
She hesitated, as if weighing the risks of sharing her story. Then she spoke, her voice wavering.
"It's a job interview, one that could change everything for me. I've been struggling for a long time. I just really need this chance."
Her honesty sparked something within Mike to be vulnerable, to share rather than bottle everything up. "I get that," he said, the words flowing from him unbidden. "I was just thinking about how I'm trying to make things right with my son.
Sometimes it feels like there's so much at stake, you know?"
She turned to him, her eyes wide in surprise.
"You have a son? How old is he?"
10 going on 11, he said, the pride radiating through him. We had some tough times, but I'm trying to be better for him."
"That's really admirable," she replied, a faint smile touching her lips. "It sounds like you're trying to figure things out."
"That takes courage.
Honestly, it hasn't been easy.
I've avoided so many conversations with him out of fear.
It's frustrating to feel like you've let someone down."
As he spoke, Mike felt a stirring within him, a sense of shared struggle. Here was a young woman facing her own uncertainty, and in helping her, perhaps he was unwittingly helping himself.
The realization only deepened his determination.
"It's hard to be raw with people we care about," he added, steering the conversation back to her.
"What do you think you'll do if you get this job?"
Lisa took a deep breath, her expression shifting as if she were searching for an anchor in turbulent waters.
I want to start fresh. I want to build a foundation for myself and my family. I want to be able to offer them something better than what we've had.
Mike felt a jolt of recognition. Her goals mirrored his own desires for Jake. As they drove through the growing rain, the atmosphere transformed, layered with a burgeoning empathy neither of them had anticipated. He began to understand that personal growth often requires a leap, a willingness to jump into the unknown despite the risks, but just as hope kindled between them, Lisa's expression darkened, her brow furrowing in concentration. "Just ahead, you will see a crossroads," she said, her tone more urgent now. "There's a small office building on the right side, it's where I need to go." Mike felt a pang of anxiety at the mention of crossroads. It served as a stark reminder of his own path, filled with uncertainties and the possibility of reconciliation or annihilation. "Are you okay? Is there anything else you need to tell me?" She hesitated once more, her gaze intense. "You don't know everything about me. There are things I've hidden, and this opportunity means everything because my life it's layered with pressure." His heart raced. "What do you mean? What else is there?" But Lisa's lips pressed into a hard line, and he could sense she was wrestling with the truth. He realized the stakes of their shared moment were escalating exponentially. Was she protecting a deeper secret? And how would this affect the connection they had started to forge? As the office building came into view, Mike's pulse quickened, not just for her, but for himself. This encounter was about uncovering their shared stories, but was he ready to confront the revelations that awaited them? The air thickened with tension as uncertainty loomed. The prospect of discovery was tantalizingly close, and yet terrifyingly far. What did Lisa hide, and would it shatter the fragile bond they had begun to cultivate? As they approached the crossroads, Mike's grip on the steering wheel tightened. The small office building loomed closer, but it felt more like a prison than an opportunity for Lisa. Her tension radiated in the confined space, and he found himself on the edge of his seat, ready to leap into an uncharted conversation. "Are you sure about this?" he asked, his voice low but steady. Lisa turned to him, her eyes flickering with a mix of fear and determination. "I need to. If I don't take this chance, I don't think I'll ever break free from, well, everything," she replied, her voice wavering. There was an urgency behind her words that sent a shiver down Mike's spine. He sensed there was more to her story, a gravity that wrapped around her like a shroud. "I get that fear," he asserted, wishing to mask his own anxiety with a grounding tone. "You want to build a better life, I understand that struggle in my own way." She searched his face, her expression softening for just a moment. "And what's better for you?" she asked, piercing through his defenses. "Is it making things right with your son?" Mike wrestled with his thoughts, contemplating the lengths a parent would go to shield their child from their failures. He had poured his energy into his work and had let too much time slip away. "I guess I'm trying to prove that we can teach our kids resilience. To show Jake that with effort, things can change." "But what about you? Are you doing this for him or for yourself?" The question hung in the air, and Mike squirmed. "I never thought about it that way," he admitted, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his voice. "It's complicated." He felt a wave of frustration. He had always focused on Jake's future but never paused to assess his own aspirations. Lisa's gaze remained fixed on him, her introspection creating a momentary stillness. "We have to decide what we're willing to sacrifice to get what we want. For me, it's risking my pride. For you, maybe it's embracing vulnerability." Her words strummed an ever-deepening chord within him. The notion of vulnerability was steeped in his experience with Jake. He had avoided honest conversations about his shortcomings, fearing the disappointment in his son's eyes. Slowly, like a dawning realization, he began to understand that embracing vulnerability might be the key to breaking his own cycle of fear. "Maybe it's time we both took the leap," he suggested, appreciating Lisa's metaphorical wisdom. "Perhaps together we can face whatever comes next, you with your job interview, and me with Jake." She nodded, visibly steeling herself for what lay ahead. They arrived at the office building, parked, and sat in silence for a moment, both caught in the gravity of their respective crossroads. "I'm grateful for you, Mike," Lisa finally said, her voice trembling again. "You've accomplished something today.
You've helped me realize that I'm not alone in my fears. Same here. He took a deep breath. You've helped me see the importance of confronting my own weaknesses. But as they prepared to exit the car, an unsettling thought punctured the moment. What if confronting the truth tore their fragile bond apart instead of strengthening it? As if Lisa could sense his unease, her expression shifted once more. Just know that whatever happens in there, she began, but the words fell short, restrained by the weight of her unspoken fears. Whatever happens, I'm here, Mike assured, though uncertainty washed over him. Turning to face the exit, he felt the full weight of the moment crash down, a choice looming like an abyss, stirring both hope and dread. Would this crossroads lead them towards healing, or would it fracture their tentative connection, leaving them to navigate their paths alone? As they exited the car, the rain began to fall more heavily, mirroring the tension in the air. A sudden flash of lightning illuminated Lisa's anxious face, capturing the severity of their situations. This was the moment. But what transformation awaited them within those walls, and would the truth strengthen their resolve or expose their deepest fears? As they stepped into the building, the stark contrast between the outside chaos and the sterile interior made Mike feel lightheaded. The buzz of fluorescent lights overhead felt suffocating. He turned to Lisa, who was visibly steeling herself for whatever lay ahead. She swallowed hard, her demeanor shifting from anxious to resolute, a transition that mirrored Mike's own internal struggle. The reception area was quiet, almost eerily so. A lone potted plant struggled to remain vibrant in a corner, its leaves drooping. Just like him, Mike thought, fighting to flourish in a stagnant environment. As Lisa approached the reception desk, he remained rooted in place, uncertainty gnawing at his insides. What if he took this leap of faith and it led them both to ruin? Good luck, he murmured, though he felt far from supportive. The words felt inadequate, they were just a momentary mask for his own nagging doubts. Thanks, Lisa replied, her back now turned to him. There was a strength in her posture that he couldn't help but admire, though it made him feel smaller, almost invisible. He watched as she spoke to the receptionist, her voice taking on a confidence that seemed foreign to Mike. She was entering a room filled with potential. What was it going to bring her? Success? Regret? It was hard to tell, and Mike realized he had expected to lean on her strength while he came to terms with his self-image. His thoughts drifted to Jake. The boy had graced his life as a reminder of his failures, and yet, the idea of achieving something for himself was slowly beginning to resonate. Mike fished out his phone, staring at the screen as if the answers lay hidden in its depths. Each notification felt like a reminder of the life he had built around the hustle, the uncertainty of self-worth unaddressed. He needed to win some semblance of progress to demonstrate to Jake, but also for himself. When Lisa emerged from the meeting room, her expression was impossible to read. Had she succeeded? Failed? Or was she simply grappling with new revelations? Mike approached cautiously, apprehensive of what implications her experiences might have on his own journey. Hey, he ventured. Her eyes found his, and he was struck by the clarity there, a momentary window into her thoughts. I did it, she breathed, though the weight of her words bore a different significance. I don't know yet, but I put myself out there. I didn't expect anything less, he conceded, squeezing one hand in the other. Lisa had delivered on her promise to confront her fears. She had taken that leap, now it was his turn to respond. What would it mean for him to emulate that kind of courage? Let us grab a coffee, he suddenly proposed, the words tumbling out amid the intensity of their shared silence. Perhaps this could be their protective circle, a safe harbor after the storms they had faced. She nodded, relief evident on her face as she followed him outside under the rain-drenched awning. The downpour seemed to refresh the landscape, a vibrant contrast against the oppressive ambience of the office. Thunder rumbled faintly in the distance, a reminder that storms come and go, but growth flourishes in their wake. As they walked together, he felt the tension building again, a sensation akin to electricity. It was now or never. He had to confront the truth he had long buried about his relationship with Jake. Lisa, he began, his heart racing. I need to talk about my son. I've been avoiding the real conversations, and I know that if I want change, it starts with honesty. Her gaze sharpened with interest. It's time for me to embrace vulnerability, right? He added, a tinge of nervous laughter escaping him.
The rain fell heavier, affirming the gravity of his confession.
Would he find the courage within himself to open that door, or would the weight of his past keep pulling him back?
As they approached the cafe, Lisa's eyes reflected the shifting skies, signaling changes that awaited.
With every step forward, the balance between vulnerability and propriety hung in the air, a knife edge ready to tilt in either direction. What profound truths awaited Mike in the unfolding conversations, and could facing his son truly create the change he so desperately needed?
Inside the cafe, the warm scent of freshly brewed coffee enveloped Mike like a comforting blanket. It contrasted sharply with the chill that had settled deep within him while standing outside, contemplating his next move. Sitting across from Lisa at a small, round table by the window, he suited up for a conversation that felt as daunting as scaling a mountain. Lisa stirred her coffee, her fingers delicate around the cup. Mike could see her energy shift from excitement to concern, as if she sensed the weight of the moment. He took a deep breath, mentally grappling with the authenticity he was about to expose. This was no simple catch-up, this was a reckoning long overdue.
Okay, he started, the word nearly caught in his throat. About Jake.
He paused, measuring the heaviness of the name. I haven't been the father he deserves. I've been trying to protect him from my failures, but all I've really done is shield myself from the truth. His admission hit the air with a quiet force.
Would she understand the complexity of what he was trying to express?
Lisa leaned in, her attention unwavering.
What do you mean by that?
The clarity in her voice prompted something hidden in Mike to unfurl. I've let my insecurities, my mistakes, define my relationship with him.
Instead of striving for connection, I've pushed him away.
I've created this facade of a good father while allowing my own fears to dictate our interactions.
The realization cut through him like a serrated knife.
He hadn't only failed Jake, he had been failing himself. Each mistake replayed in his mind like a bad recording, but now he felt ready to confront the truth of it all.
What was the last real conversation you had with him? Lisa asked gently, her eyes urging him to dig deeper.
About a month ago, he confessed, shame curling around the edges of his voice. We talked about school, but I could tell he wanted more. I didn't let him in. I was scared.
Scared of what?
Her questions pressed against the walls he had built. It was all crumbling now, and as liberating as it felt, it was terrifying to be so exposed. Scared of not being enough for him. That I would show him who I really am, and he'd see me as a failure. Mike's mind raced back to Jake's bright eyes, seeking approval and encouragement. It hurt to realize he hadn't provided either.
So, what now?
Lisa's question hung in the air, brimming with potential. He sat up straighter, the weight of his newfound clarity invigorating him.
I want to take steps to get to know him again. To listen to him and share my own story. I've been so focused on protecting him that I forgot how to be genuine. What if he pushes you away? Lisa prodded, understanding the stakes. Then I'll keep showing up.
Every time I falter, I'll just lean into that discomfort. The resolve in his voice surprised even him. Each sentence spoke of a promise, not just to Jake, but to himself. The ground beneath Mike's feet felt more stable, yet also fragile. This was the period of his transition, his self-reflection catalyzed by the vulnerability he was now ready to embrace.
Good for you, Lisa said, her voice softening. It's courageous to choose honesty.
Courageous, he echoed, testing the word on his tongue. He began to see it not just as a feat for the moment, but a practice he could commit to daily. He pulled out his phone, eyes narrowing as he sent a short text to Jake, a tentative bridge built between two worlds.
It read, "Can we talk later today? Just us?"
As he hit send, a tremor of fear slithered into his mind.
What if the response was cold or indifferent?
The outer rain began to taper off, yet inside the cafe, a new storm brewed.
What's next after this?
Lisa inquired. Ambivalence crossed his heart, yet there was a glimmer of hope.
I guess I prepare for his response, whatever it may be.
But I have to be ready to hear him, truly listen.
That's my next step.
He could feel a subtle tension coiling, a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The journey was just beginning, but Mike now understood that growth would require the courage to navigate vulnerability. As they finished their coffee, every sip tasted like a promise of transformation. Mike glanced outside, noticing the sun breaking through the clouds.
Today is the first day of something new, he breathed, anticipation bubbling within him. But would the same light break through the darkness that had shadowed his relationship with Jake? Would connection blossom, or would the storms of the past linger long after he had summoned his courage? The cafe's atmosphere began to shift as the last remnants of the morning rush faded away. Mike swirled the dregs of his coffee, contemplating the message he had sent Jake. The act felt monumental, a seismic shift away from evasion and into confrontation. Stepping into uncertainty was a quiet rebellion against the inertia he had endured for too long. "Do you really think he'll respond?" Lisa asked, breaking through his reverie. Her tone held a mixture of hope and skepticism, mirroring the tumult of emotions swirling within him. "I have to believe he will," Mike replied with a steadier voice than he felt. "But more than that, I need to be prepared for the possibility that he might need space." "Or he could be open to it," Lisa countered gently, her eyes encouraging him to lean into the optimism that lingered just outside his grasp. He wanted to believe that. The thought brought a flicker of warmth, yet the shadows of doubt loomed large, threatening to snuff it out. "I want to be the father he needs, but I don't know what that looks like right now." Each word seemed to unveil another layer of his inadequacy. "Maybe it starts with being present," she suggested. "You're already taking steps. That's more than most." The simplicity of her statement struck him like a lightning bolt. He pondered what it meant to be genuinely present. The thought rattled within him, shaking loose memories of missed dinners, missed catch-ups, and missed moments that could have deepened their bond. "I can't keep living this way," he muttered, more to himself than to her. "It feels like I've put up walls that distance me from him and everyone I care about." "Walls can come down," Lisa replied, her voice soft yet firm. "But only if you're willing to work on it. It's going to take time and effort, but that effort matters." Mike sank into thought. Was he ready for that kind of commitment? The journey seemed daunting, but he felt something shift in the core of his being, a recognition that facing his fears was foundational to transforming not only his relationship with Jake but also his relationship with himself. His phone vibrated, snapping him back to the moment. He glanced down to see a new message from Jake. Heart racing, he quickly opened it, bracing for whatever reality awaited him. "Sure, Dad. What's up?" Relief flooded through him, almost drowning out the remnants of tension. This was a response he could work with, a tangible thread to grasp as he navigated this new territory. The way Jake had responded felt almost casual, but Mike knew the weight of those words carried significance. "Just wanted to talk. How about at home after school?" He typed back, the impatience leading his fingers to fly across the screen. He reflected on what had driven him to finally bridge the gap. Was it the desire to reconnect, or was it fear of losing any more time? Perhaps it was a mix of both. Acknowledging this conflict felt vital, like holding up a mirror to his intentions. "Do you think he sees you as a failure?" Lisa asked, eyes narrowing with that probing intensity that made Mike introspective yet uneasy. "I hope not," he said, rubbing the back of his neck, a gesture of his nervousness. "But, can you blame him if he does? How could I expect him not to perceive me that way after everything?" "Because you're choosing to change," she said resolutely. "And that's what he'll see someone trying to be better." Her words lingered as he pondered how he could frame today's conversation in a way that conveyed the authentic shift he was committed to making. It was crucial to express his own struggles while allowing Jake to voice his feelings. This was a delicate balance, and he felt the weight of its importance. "Thanks for this," he admitted softly, recognizing the additional strength Lisa was providing in his moment of vulnerability. "Just remember," she added, "real dialogue opens the door for understanding." With renewed determination, Mike finished his cold coffee, realizing that he had infused it with new meaning. Today was indeed the first step in a journey he had put off for too long. But whether their relationship could emerge whole from this morass of past mistakes remained an unanswered question. Time drifted forward, and as he stepped out of the cafe, the world outside felt charged, ripe with possibility. But would the conversation ahead yield the transformation he yearned for?
In that moment, he understood that demonstrating authentic growth would demand more from him than he had ever considered. As he headed home, the weight of loss still lingered, overshadowed by a flickering hope.
Did he truly possess the strength to confront the ghosts of his past and guide Jake toward a brighter future? The secrets of fatherhood awaited as he braced himself for what lay ahead, unprepared yet committed, walking into the unknown. The day unfolded with an unusual clarity as Mike parked in front of his modest home.
Each passing moment felt heavy with anticipation and purpose, an undeniable sense of transformation unfurling within him.
Today was not just another day, it was the day he chose to step into his new reality. As he opened the door, the familiar, chaotic warmth of his home enveloped him. Jake's laughter echoed from the living room, a sound he realized he had missed more than he cared to admit. It beckoned him, igniting a flicker of joy that surged above the shadows of his self-doubt.
"Hey, Dad!" Jake called as he emerged from a whirlwind of toys and sports gear, his face lighting up upon seeing him. That pure joy mirrored the innocence of their relationship, prompting a sense of urgency in Mike's heart. He wanted to nurture this connection and mend the frayed edges of their bond.
"Hey, champ," Mike replied, a softness permeating his voice. "Can we talk about some stuff?"
Jake paused, his expression shifting from excitement to curiosity.
"Yeah, sure. What's up?"
The question hung in the air, heavy with expectation. Sitting across from Jake on the worn-out couch, Mike felt the gravity of the moment. This was his chance to engage sincerely, to be the father Jake needed him to be.
"I've been thinking a lot lately," he began, choosing his words carefully. "About us. I haven't been a great dad, and I want to change that."
Jake's brow furrowed, confusion weaving through his features.
"What do you mean?" "I mean,
I've been so wrapped up in trying to provide for us that I haven't really been here, not in the way you deserve.
I've missed out on so many moments, and I'm sorry for that." The vulnerability in Mike's admission felt like a breath after a long underwater dive. A weight lifted off him, exposing raw honesty. Jake eyed him, suspicion mixed with a hint of relief. "But why now?"
he asked, punctuating the air with authenticity.
"Because I realized that being a good dad isn't just about work and providing, it's about being present, sharing the good and the bad, and really listening."
His heart raced as he sensed the possibilities unfolding before them. The door to heartfelt communication had swung open, and he was ready to walk through.
"I want to try," he continued, swallowing hard. "I want to know who you are, what you love, and help you with whatever you need. I need to earn your trust back."
The silence that followed stretched, but Mike did not waver.
He met Jake's gaze, hoping to convey his sincerity. "We can figure this out together, step by step. I promise I'm here to stay."
"Okay," Jake finally replied, the word pinging with both doubt and newfound hope.
"Let's see."
A small smile crept onto his face, its fragility beautiful in its uncertainty. In that moment, Mike felt a rush of recognition. He had accomplished a foundational step, a breakthrough that echoed within him. He had proven to himself he could foster a genuine relationship with Jake, defined not by perfection but by growth.
"Great. So, how about we start by wrestling?"
Jake suggested, his energy instantly recharged at this new turn of conversation. Mike chuckled, "You're on."
The spontaneity of the moment felt refreshing, a tangible representation of their reawakening bond.
As they tussled, laughter filled the room, weaving through the shadows of their past.
The barriers between them started to dissolve, replaced by connection and mutual understanding.
Mike realized that he had taken the first step towards bridging the chasm that had historically loomed large between father and son. A few hours later, as they collapsed side by side, panting with exertion, Mike's mind raced back to his exchange with Lisa.
The realization hit him, defined by her journey towards vulnerability, he had undertaken his own.
This mirrored transformation went beyond fatherhood. It was about rediscovering the man he wanted to be, one who was committed to nurturing not just Jake, but his entire life.
"Hey, Dad?"
Jake broke through his thoughts.
"Yeah?" Mike replied, sinking into the moment. "Can we do this more often? Just hang out like this?" Mike
smiled, warmth enveloping him.
"Absolutely. How about we make it a weekly tradition? Cool. And maybe you can help me with my homework, too.
The innocence in Jake's voice struck him, and in that moment, he felt a profound sense of achievement.
Deal.
Mike chuckled, feeling confident and recognized for the first time in years. As their laughter faded into comfortable silence, Mike understood the importance of the journey they had just begun. The chaos of the past still loomed, but the possibility for change pulsed vibrantly through both of them. He took a deep breath, filled with newfound resolve. He was not just surviving anymore, he was truly living. At that moment, he knew he must also pursue his budding relationship with Emma. It was no longer just an option or a desire, it was becoming part of who he was. He could incorporate the promise of vulnerability, the courage to embrace the unknown, and the commitment to be present in Jake's life simultaneously. He was a single father, yes, but he was learning how to thrive against the challenges life had thrown at him.
It was time to embrace a more multifaceted future. With resolution brewing within him, Mike grabbed his phone again to text Emma. It was time to take the next leap in their journey.
As he drafted his message, he felt buoyed by relief and excitement.
The curveballs of life no longer seemed steep, they transformed into a new path toward fulfillment. He was ready to tackle the challenges of fatherhood, ready to embrace the contours of a potentially meaningful relationship, and most importantly, ready to shift from merely existing to actively pursuing a life imbued with connection and authenticity. Now was the moment for action, not just for himself, but for Jake and the possibilities that lay ahead. The future beckoned, and he was finally prepared to answer its call. If you've resonated with Mike's journey of personal resolution and transformation, now is your chance to take part. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and spread the message of personal growth. Comment your thoughts on Mike's transformation. What aspects resonated with you the most? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support and dive deeper into the profound narratives of overcoming challenges. Don't wait even one more second.